All right, the shoe is on the other foot. Usually, I've been on Guy Haberman's YouTube channel, and this is the first time that now I'm going to lead this discussion. Is that okay, Guy?
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll have it
Happily.
both. We'll both have it on our respective YouTube channels. But you've been the guy in charge, and we all wish Greg Papa well as he goes through his battle that he's been public about and acknowledged. But you have the Herculean job of filling in for Greg, and Guy, you've done a great job in the first two preseason games calling the action of 49ers preseason. So let me just start off with congratulations on doing such a good job and bringing your reporting skills, those nuggets on every players, and how's it gone for you so far?
It's been fun. I mean, it's been, I think the second week, I was very aware that Niners at Raiders, it was Raider Alumni Day. Like, that's a day, and I said it on my thing on Sunday, like, that's a day Greg Papa should be there for, right? And all these Raider highlights should have his voice, and I know they don't do that at the Raiders anymore, but I know Tim loves him, but luckily Tim Ryan is one of the best he was at Fox for a long time for a good reason. He's an excellent broadcaster. He's made it very easy. The production crew, they use a lot of NBC. Sean Madison is who I'm sure is the Sharks producer, and Paul Davis, the director. It's a really good crew. So it makes it very easy to just kind of, I think I tell people the best broadcast to do that for me are ones where you just only say the things you want to say, meaning your analyst steps in the right spot, graphics come in at the right time, the cameras are showing things, and that's what it's been like. So it's been fun from that perspective. And it's been cool. We've played, I think we'll do it in third preseason game. Each of the first two games, we've played one of Greg's big highlights. And I can tell it gets Tim going. It gets me going. It gets everybody going. I mean, Greg is one of a kind. He's an excellent broadcaster in person. And so it's fun to hear some of him. One other thing I'll add, Matt, I mentioned this to Derek, his son, Papa, on his show on KNBR, but the best thing I did was I watched 10 minutes of Titans-Niners preseason from last year. And I watch every second of it. I listen to those two guys on radio, and I'm watching the game during the regular season in my office. And the best thing I did was watch 10 minutes of the Titans last year and remind myself that it's just impossible to do Greg. Only Greg can do it. So it just made it very easy to don't even try and, be Greg, because only Greg is Greg.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And all you can do is be Guy Haberman, right? I mean, you can't be Greg Papa, and I think you do a very good Guy Haberman.
I'm doing my best Guy Haberman.
Let me just ask you this. You've been at practices in the past years. You always have your card out there, your big notes that you're taking notes. But how has your perspective changed now that you're calling the games, and just how firm of a grasp do you have on this roster, this 90-man roster right now for the 49ers?
Yeah, I think in years past, I probably focused on more stars, global issues, a couple position battles. I didn't pay as close attention to the 9th and 10th defensive linemen. I left that to the beat writers like you, who really understood that stuff. And this year, I'm paying much closer attention to it, because it's a big part of the third quarter. It's a big part of this third preseason game. I saw you make note of this on Saturday. As we talk here Monday, final roster cuts are Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, that stuff really matters. So I would say knowing everybody's number from 1 to 99, I'm much better at that this year, because that matters much more to me, because it's live reaction versus, what I've done in the past, just doing some YouTube stuff. So that's probably a big difference.
And knowing the numbers of the 49ers this summer is more challenging than ever, because they're bringing in defensive linemen, from the UFL on a daily basis, sometimes more than one a day. There's just the injury situation. 18 or 19 defensive linemen they have on their 90-man roster, including like 7 who are injured. Are you looking around for your depth chart?
No, yeah, I'm just looking for. I've got a note where I had to write everybody on it the other day. Now this is not their 90. I've got 21 at some point in time here.
Okay, yeah, so that probably includes like some of the guys they've released.
Kevin, yeah, and that includes like Kevin Givens. And,
yeah, well, I mean, he's still on their 90-man roster.
do you want me to read you the whole list I have here? Would this be good content
well,
for people?
how quickly can you do it? Because we only have so much time.
Bosa Williams, Kalia Davis, Bryce Huff, Yetur Gross-Matos, CJ West, Evan Anderson, Alfred Collins, Sam Okuna. Hold on. Oh, he hasn't played yet. Hold on. Let me get it. I can't get it. Tell me.
Okawanu.
I've been practicing that when he hasn't played. Okawanu.
Yeah.
Sebastian Valdez.
Okawanu.
Valdez, Givens, Jordan Elliott, William Bradley King, Michael Dwumfor, here and gone. Right. Damon Harris, Travis Gibson, Jonathan Garvin, Jalen Allen, Bruce Hector, Shaquille Brown, Robert Beal.
Did you say Travis Gibson?
I did say Travis Gibson.
You did? Okay. Yep. That's a lot of names. And I tried to like keep up with you with my fingers, and I lost track. And I'm wearing shoes too, so I couldn't have used my toes to keep counting. That's a lot of guys. And so there's a lot of positions that just kind of like it's hard to kind of differentiate. And also you have to take into account the injuries. We talked about the injuries there on the defensive line, but I mean, when you look at the Friars running back situation and the injuries they have there, they have to take into account for the start of the regular season, who's going to be healthy, who's not going to be healthy, but they want on the team, and who might have a longer-term injury that warrants putting that player on IR to start the season to open a roster spot. So, I mean, that's wild when you consider that if you look at the 49ers halfbacks who are really in contention for roster spots. Now, maybe Jeff Wilson can get in contention for a roster spot, but he's so late to the party. I don't necessarily put him in that category. But the only healthy running back of the guys who have been here all along is Christian McCaffrey.
I know. Do you think, let me ask you this. Do you think, last year, I think Corey Kiner's been better in this preseason than Cody Schrader was in the last preseason. Obviously, Cody Schrader didn't clear waivers. Before the high ankle sprain, do you think Corey Kiner was going to make the 53-man roster?
I think it's close, but I would say yes. Yeah. And now they're in a spot where how severe is that high ankle sprain? And so is he somebody they put on IR to open the season, which would keep him out for the first 4 games? And in essence, that's I think that's the good play, because I think what that does is it kind of kicks the can down the road a little bit. And then after 4 games or 5 games, they can then decide like, okay, what are we going to do with him? And there might be an injury elsewhere on the 53-man that opens the door for him. So to me, even though I just did my most recent 53-man projection, and I have him on the 53, but I think probably the best play and maybe the more logical play would be to start him on IR, just as they'll likely do with Kevin Givens, him with the pectoral injury, Kiner with the high ankle sprain.
Yeah, I did wonder. You hate it because he looks like a useful player.
He does,
but it may, in a roundabout way, be kind of a blessing for them, because he's looked really good. Like they were going to have to put him on the 53, and we still have another game to play. Matt, there could be more. You know what I mean? Like there could be more. Hopefully, there's not. But
yeah, you know what? And the good thing is, like, you're looking for the silver lining here, 49ers fans. But the only injury that they've incurred during training camp that will have a significant spillover effect into the regular season is Kevin Givens, and probably looking at him being, kind of a bottom line rotational player on the defensive line anyway. But man, when Pooney got injured and the 49ers immediately ruled him out on Saturday night, whoa. I mean, there's like, oh no, what was that injury? And now, it's still something that's going to impact him. Shanahan called it a few weeks, whether that means, he might not be ready week 1. He could be ready week 1, touch and go. At least none of those injuries are to frontline guys who are going to be like season long kinds of injuries.
Yeah. I think part of the consternation is, if you're not healthy to start, everybody knows that nobody's healthy week 15. So, but at least be healthy week 1, and that's And hopefully by this week, we'll see. This will be an interesting week to me. Like at the top of my list this week, Matt, is Michael Williams back. Is CJ West. But like we really want to see Michael. He was going to play in that probably going to play in that first preseason game against Denver. Joint practice injury. CJ West, joint practice the next week injury. Those two guys are critical parts of this defensive line. So that's at the top of the list for this week, I would say.
Yeah, and those are guys that need it. Those are guys,
Right.
Very few defensive linemen come in as ready-made. Let's go. Let's hit the ground running week one. I mean, those rookies need the practices. They need the game reps. And right now, what's kind of interesting is Alfred Collins was the guy who was so far behind when training camp started. And honestly, my thought with him would be, boy, it's going to be difficult for him to stay healthy all through training camp because he's such a big guy. He didn't have that base of reps during the offseason program, OTAs, leading into training camp. And then as it turns out, the other guys, same kind of bizarre injuries for them, hyperextended knees with Michael Williams and CJ West. But Alfred Collins has been getting in the work, been practicing, and I mean, he needs it. It's very clear. I don't think he's anywhere near regular season game ready. Whereas those other two guys, when they started training camp, they were further along, but now their growth, their development has been stunted because of these injuries.
Yeah. The other group I think about in that regard, I think one thing that's really interesting, the secondary has the potential to be pretty good, right? With Green, with Upton Stout, with Lenore. We'll see. I think it's really hard to just walk right in and play safety in the NFL. It's a complicated thing to do, but Marquis Siegel is going to have a chance to do it next to Jason Pinnock. It seems like it's Siegel and Jair Brown for that other spot.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
You think Pinnock is clearly a starter, and if Siegel were to emerge into that competition, which he has, it would be more at the expense of Jair Brown?
I'm saying exactly what Tim Ryan said in the broadcast on Saturday.
And Tim knows. I mean, Tim knows a lot more about it. The only thing I would like, Pinnock's injury seems to open the door a little bit. Yeah. But I guess I would agree with that because I haven't seen Jair Brown just take that next step. And I realize, was it the first play of the game? Brock Bowers goes up over him to make that play. Brock Bowers is going to make a lot of plays over a lot of starting safeties in the NFL this season, but that would have been a nice opportunity for Brown to time that high point and break that thing up because he looked like he was in good position.
Yeah, it looked like he lost his footing at the last second, but it's a good point, right? Because Pinnock hasn't been on the field. But I just think you have to be very aware of the guys who came over with Robert Saleh, or at least he didn't come with Robert. He was on the Giants, but kind of a solid guy, and they like him. And so, but to me, what's interesting about it is it's a new defensive coordinator for most of these guys. Gus Bradley comes, and Gus was there for the birth of the Legion of Boom. I would love for them to play together. Yeah. Before the season starts, like I know Lenore has played and Green has played, and they feel good about Upton Stout. I haven't used it on the broadcast yet because he hasn't played yet. Maybe if he plays this week, I don't know if you have a thought, if you think Upton will be back, I don't know. But I talked to his college coach at Western Kentucky, Tyson Helton, and he said that he thought one of the reasons Upton would and has acclimated quickly to the NFL is because they run very complicated schemes at Western Kentucky. A lot of their defensive coaches come from the Saban tree. And so it's just a lot of complication. It's a lot of learning. It's a lot of, you have to have a good work ethic in terms of the film room, and then you have to be able to process it quickly. And Stout played inside and outside at Western Kentucky. They moved him inside because they wanted to be able to use him on pressure packages and that sort of thing. So he thought he would adapt quickly. But anyway, but communication.
Can I give you one Upton Stout story too?
Yeah.
So the 49ers first-year defensive backs coach is Ray Brown, not the former 49ers offensive lineman Ray Brown. But Ray Brown was an assistant coach, defensive backs coach with Boston College last year. Boston College played Western Kentucky. Now, typically when a defensive backs coach When his defense is off the field, he's back there on the benches, with his defensive backs, getting things, squared away and making adjustments and what else a defensive backs coach does. But in this game, he started hearing the safety or I forget exactly what position Upton was playing for Western Kentucky, corner, nickel, whatever.
I think they moved him. Yeah, he played both. Yeah.
So, but he kept hearing this player in the Western Kentucky defensive backfield communicating with all of his guys and basically speaking Ray Brown's language.
Oh.
And so he started paying attention whenever Western Kentucky's defense was on the field. He was paying attention to Upton Stout. And he goes, that stuck with me. I started watching him. I admired him. I liked his game. And then it turns out 4 months later, 5 months later, he's now coaching Upton Stout. Isn't that kind of funny?
That's really, I mean, isn't it for all of the science of scouting and in recruiting in college the same way, for all of the science of it, sometimes it's one person has one thing they like, they bring it up. Sometimes you're breaking ties between players that have to be impossibly thin.
Yeah.
Teams love to say, oh, we had to get this guy in the fifth round. We love this guy. But, the amount of information they really have, one piece of insight like that can be the difference. That's really cool. Now, was Ray Brown, I guess Jeff Hafley wasn't there. Jeff Hafley was already with the Packers last year as the defensive coordinator.
I don't know if they overlap.
Bill O'Brien, yeah.
Off the top of my head, I can't recall how long Ray Brown was with Boston College, so I don't know if there is overlap there.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I mean, but this is still the secondary is a unit that has to be able to communicate and move together and trust each other and fill space when I vacate it and all that. So I hope that early on, they had the bus were the story of the first preseason game against Denver. They had some in that practice. Here comes Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they are on the same page. My concern is not skill right now with a fully healthy secondary. Are they going to start the year they're on the road for a lot of the early part of the season, right? Which is in a weird way might be good for your secondary because it's actually quiet when you're on defense.
That's a great call. That is a great call. No, it is. Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's and the three guys they have back there right now, then Malik Mustafa, whenever he's cleared, right. I would think he would just immediately slide back into the starting lineup. But those three guys, Jair Brown, Jason Pinnock, and Marquis Siegel, when you can't talk to them for more than 90 seconds and they bring up the communication aspect of it. And so, that's a great point.
I think oh, sorry, can you finish that
point? Well, no, I'm just going to say whenever you're in the Superdome, now the 49er fans who show up to these road games or Seattle week 1, New Orleans week 2, the 49er fans in say New Orleans, where there'll be a lot of them.
Yeah.
They won't get the memo. Like, hey, be quiet so that the 49ers defensive backs can communicate with each other.
Yeah. You think Siegel's out there just flopping his wings?
Exactly. I think Siegel. Yeah, Siegel.
Barrows tried to get me to use a bunch of his nicknames for the game. Week 2. Luckily, I didn't see any of his ideas until after the game, so I could plead ignorance. But I think Gus Bradley's it's hard to know because he's not the defensive coordinator, but it'll just be fun to see. Saleh alluded a couple weeks ago in his press conference. Not alluded. He got asked. I don't remember how it came up. Maybe you do, but this is not the same defense he ran necessarily in the back end the last time he was here. Certainly, it's far different than what the Seahawks ran originally with this group. So it'll just be interesting to see kind of what is different.
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably won't be able to tell like the differences in the defense, but I think we will be able to tell how he calls a defense. In 2019, 49ers did not have to do anything exotic defensively. It was just line up and play football. And the more simple you are, the fewer busts there's going to be, because you can just, with their front four of Bosa, D Ford, Armstead, Buckner, not a whole lot of gimmicks there. This year, I don't know who's going to supply the pass rush other than Bosa. I think Bryce Huff looked good in some of his pass rush reps on Saturday night, but it's not a defensive, it's not a front four that you just go, whoa, they're just going to be piling up the sacks this season. So they're going to get more creative. There's going to be more Fred Warner blitzing. There's going to be more nickel blitzing. There's going to be more, D Winters blitzing. I don't know how much Nick Martin's going to play, but he's already shown that he can find the right, he can set up a blitz very well. I don't know if you heard him talking after the game about he wanted to kind of go, kind of set up the pass protection of the Raiders to enable him to find that gap to shoot, to make that sack, which he did. But I think, Robert Saleh is going to have to dial up more of that. And we've seen it in the preseason with Chase Lucas, rushing the passer as effectively as he rushes the passer.
Yeah. That is the interesting question. Well, that's what everybody's sitting, all of us, when you sit on your couch, like, just blitz more.
I mean, they might,
unless it's the last drive against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But
yeah, well, I would say that they'll probably, the more you blitz, the more big plays you make, but also the more big plays you're susceptible to giving up.
I think, I was thinking about it. I think you were asked this question the other day, who's the most important player? And you said Bosa. And that was my answer too. Mm-hmm. And then I've been thinking about it for the last few days. And I'm like, I think it's Christian. I think they have to score touchdowns. I think if you said, what are the two most important things for this team? Stopping the run, scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Yeah. And obviously, this is a team. Like, you can't, they're both critically important if you're going to be a good football team, because you're a top heavy team. Like, you can't, you need them all. You don't, but scoring touchdowns in the red zone is just,
yeah.
If I had to pick one thing, that might be at the top. And I just think Christian is so critical to that. We even saw it in this last game where they hit Pearsall 3 times on that opening drive, but then Brock and Ricky were not on the same page on that third down play. And then here comes Jake Moody.
Yeah, I guess it's a good sign for the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey that we really haven't talked much about Christian McCaffrey this summer.
Yeah.
Because he just, he's just kind of been going along and looking like Christian McCaffrey. And, he's never somebody that, is going to put out any great quotes. He's not a great interview. There's not going to be a whole lot of stories written about Christian McCaffrey, but man, we saw it last year. And the thing about McCaffrey is he makes everybody better. He opens up the middle of the field for other guys. So he'll make Kittle better. He'll make the offensive line better because they don't have to hold up in pass protection as long, because Brock Purdy can just check it down to McCaffrey, something he didn't seem to do at all last year, in checking it down to the other running backs. And it obviously makes Purdy better because instead of just taking a loss or trying to run around and make something out of nothing, it's just a quick and easy way to get the ball out of his hands and still make a positive play.
Can I ask you a question unrelated to that?
Sure.
Because I know we're close to our time, but what do you think they're going to do? Because he also helps, the receivers. They're complicated because who are you going to throw it to? Who are you going to throw it to? Kittle and McCaffrey. I know there was the report. Jordan Schultz, I think on Sunday, said the Niners were the other team involved in who wanted John Mechie, and the Eagles traded for him. What do you think they're going to do? Do you think they'll do anything at receiver?
I don't. I don't think that they'll. I think there's uncertainty, of course, with Demarcus Robinson. How many games will he be suspended? We all assume he'll get suspended, but when does that suspension kick in, and for how many games? I'm just kind of using 3 games as kind of the guideline. Did you happen to see Brandon Ayuk running pass routes before the game?
I did, and I heard you say that he might not be allowed to do that.
Well, I don't think a guy on PUP can practice. And that's,
What if he's just exercising?
well, but catching passes from
Pre-game, but pre-game's not a practice. I mean, like
I don't know.
technically it's just free time.
My guess would be that the NFL would say, hey, 49ers, that's kind of, let's not do that anymore.
I did see it though, to answer your question.
Yeah. And how did he look?
Fine. On track, I guess. Good.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't.
So when you think about Robinson will be available some point early in the season.
Yeah.
Ayuk will be available, let's say the final 9 games of the season.
Okay.
You already have Jennings and Pearsall, Cowing, and Watkins, yeah. And then the veteran guys, you can have maybe 2 or more of Russell Gage, Robbie Chosen, Isaiah Hodgins. And you can bump those guys up from the practice squad, for I think 2 games a piece. I think they get by with what they have, because if you bring in a guy like Amari Cooper, and you're going to have to pay him whatever Amari Cooper wants to get paid to sign him, later in the season, let's just say for the final 10 games of the year, where does Amari Cooper fit in? Is he going to get playing time over Ayuk? No. Is he going to get playing time over Jennings, a healthy Jennings, assuming he's healthy? No. Will he get playing time over Pearsall? No. And then is Robinson ahead of him on the depth chart as well? Maybe. So I don't know. That's what do you think?
No, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I think it's easy to say you need to insulate that room, but it costs money to do it. I think they're unique in that, again, it's McCaffrey and Kittle. You can throw them the ball a ton. I think Ricky's has looked good. The way I put it is, if you walked out to practice and I told you that guy got 100 targets, 75 balls last year, whatever, you'd believe it. So it's been good to see. It was good the other day to see his practice translate to that game.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I think Demarcus Robinson's going to be. He's going to impact. Like he's a big deal. He caught 65 balls for the Rams last year. Like he's just a pro.
And then the other thing is, when you think about the eligibles, I think there will be a lot of passing downs, a lot of 3rd and 8s, where the 49ers basically have 6 offensive linemen on the field. With Luke Ferrell coming in as a second tight end, and he's in there solely for pass protection. So they'll have 6-man max protect, and so 6-man the quarterback. So that leaves 4 eligibles. So do you really need another wide receiver when your 4 eligibles are going to be McCaffrey, Kittle, and then just in 2 wide receivers?
And are you optimistic? Preseasons are filled with, oh, did you see that play from Danny Gray? Oh, did you see that catch from Ronnie Bell? You've seen it now. The guys who immediately impact, it's a short list, receivers who immediately impact year 1 for a Kyle Shanahan offense. Ayuk's on it.
Yeah, but you know what? You find out later that he's on it for necessity. He made a lot of mistakes that drove Kyle Shanahan crazy his rookie year. And then we saw it at the beginning of year 2 when, remember, he got in the doghouse or whatever that was. So he was on it by necessity.
Do you think Jordan Watkins is above or below that line of impact receivers this year?
He's right on that line, because
so he has a chance.
He has a chance. Absolutely. The thing that we don't find out about until later, and this is the behind the scenes stuff, is that, he comes out, and on that first drive against the Broncos' #1 defense, he catches that pass, goes up and makes the catch on their starting nickel, and stays on his feet, and then gets tackled 50 yards down the field by Talanoa Hufanga. So, myself included, whoa, that's the play of the game. That shows you that Jordan Watkins is the guy. He's ready to make an impact. And then a short time later, he has a false start, and then he completely runs the wrong pattern, and it leads to an interception. So that's the kind of stuff that drives coaches crazy, is that, he makes the big splashy play that everybody can see. And then, when he leaves the field after the giveaway, everybody's going, what a horrible throw by Mac Jones. And then you find out later, that wasn't on Mac Jones. That was on the receiver. So, he's just got to tighten those things up. And he seems to be, what I think he's ahead of the curve because there's a lot to learn. And I think he's done really well, but he needed this practice time that now he's missing due to the high ankle sprain.
Yeah. I would say, where my head goes listening to you talk there is even initially with Danny Gray, it was clear, okay, he's not going to break the lineup really, but he has one plus skill that maybe we can use, which is speed. Yeah. And then he couldn't really even get open. They couldn't connect. So I wonder if there's a world where Jordan Watkins gets on the field once he's healthy, not for obviously, he's not ahead of most of these veterans on the depth chart, quote unquote, but is there a place for him to find spot opportunities? Can they afford that?
Yeah, he might be a guy. Well, he'll be on their 53-man roster. There's no question about it. The question is, and I think the answer is no, will he be on their 48 that you suit up for games? And I don't think he will be initially, but it'll be your time is coming. It might be next week. It might be the week after. It might be 6 weeks down the road, and it looks like he's, made of the right stuff and all that. So I don't think he'll be in. My guess is he won't be an impact player week 1 or early in the season, but he'll be needed to be one at some point. What I would think would be at some, like early in the season, would you rather have Russell Gage out there or Robbie Chosen or Isaiah Hodgins, just because those guys have plenty of NFL experience and they can step right in and they won't be asked to play 50 snaps, but maybe if they play, 12 snaps or whatever the case may be, and just not make any mental mistakes and do their job. And maybe they have, 1 or 2 passes come their way on a daily basis, on a game by game basis. That might be enough to kind of, kick the can down the road, if you will, until some of their guys come back. And I mean, the big question really is what's going on with Juwan Jennings. How severe is that calf injury? Is it severe? Are they just taking it easy and knowing that he can, when he steps on the field, he'll be ready to go, and they just don't want to take any chances of pushing it? Or just how much is the contract stuff looming out there as well? It just doesn't seem right now that he has a whole lot of leverage because of the calf injury. And, he's under contract for this year too.
Yeah. And I heard Kawakami say the other day, neither side has leverage. And I think I think both sides need the other, right? To a point. I don't know if you would agree or disagree with that. I think the Niners have more just because he has to play. Like he can't not play.
Right. The 49ers have leverage in the sense that he is under contract. And so if nothing happens, then he's playing under the 49ers rules this year. The issue then becomes, if you don't do anything this year and extend him, then you're probably, if he has a good season and he's sought after by any of the other 31 teams, you're going to lose him next spring. You're going to lose him as a free agent, unless, 49ers then come to the table. But then if you come to the table next year with a big contract, then people will be asking, why didn't you just extend him before last season for a price that's not as much as what you'd have to pay him in the spring of 2026?
Yeah. Do you have any? I have one more question for you. Do you have anything else?
I just, when you were talking about Gus Bradley, the thought that came into my mind now, because whenever I think of Gus Bradley, I think of Dallas Flowers. He's opened some eyes. I think he's a good player.
I mean, he was an all rookie returner when he came into the league. 35 doesn't look like when he's wearing 35. If he makes the 53, he's got to. You can't return kicks wearing 35. I don't think
he doesn't look. You know what? Maybe it's just a result of the Achilles coming back from that. He's 2 years removed, I guess, from that now.
Yeah,
but He doesn't, I don't know. He doesn't look great as a returner. I just think he's a good cornerback.
Well, fair point. I can't figure out if anybody looks great as a returner with this new kickoff.
That's fair.
I don't like someone pointed out, someone pointed out to me in my last video, Junior Bergen 8 punt returns for touchdowns. I've been kind of waiting for him to flash. There haven't been that many punts for him to return.
Yeah, that first one against the Broncos is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I mean, he made that guy miss when that guy had the angle on him coming off.
So you think he's making the team?
No, I don't. Okay. No, I just
we're not laughing about that, but I just
don't know if it makes sense to keep both Cowing and Bergen.
Yeah.
And I think Cowing right now, I mean, we haven't seen him, but I think he's a year further along than Bergen as a receiver, and they would need that guy to bring some value as a receiver early in the season. So I think Bergen is somebody that they can waive at the cut to 53, and I don't think anybody's claiming him, so they can keep him around on the practice squad.
I sidetracked this from your original point, which is Dallas Flowers might be a good corner, and it's a good point. I mean, it's sometimes these players come in, especially when they haven't played in a few years, and you can't figure out, like, is this a real player or is this a 7-year practice squad guy? Like, what is this guy? But he was trending to be a real player. He was starting at corner for the Colts.
Yeah. See, a week 1 starter for the Colts and playing very well. And I, went back and read some stuff on him, and he was having a really good game against the Rams, broke up a few passes against a team that offers a lot of challenges for any defensive back. And then he tore his Achilles, and that wiped out the rest of the 23 season. Last year still wasn't right and ends up getting cut. And now, like I said, 2 years removed from the Achilles and making a good bid for a 49ers roster spot. Okay. You said you had one last thing.
One last question. Luke Ferrell has played in 80 games, regular season, preseason, and postseason combined.
Does this number 0?
He has never scored a touchdown, including in the preseason.
Huh.
Now, when a guy scores a touchdown, like a rookie scores a touchdown in the preseason, it's always a little complicated for the broadcaster, because do you say it's his first career touchdown? I mean, he's celebrating. He's in the end zone in an NFL uniform on an NFL field for the first time in his career. He's going to want to keep the ball, but it's not a regular season touchdown. No. But Luke Ferrell, Matt, if he scores a touchdown against the Chargers on Saturday, if he plays and scores a touchdown, he'll play against the Chargers on Saturday. You would forgive him if he celebrated as if it was a regular season touchdown.
So you're projecting out to something that hasn't happened yet, but just in case it does happen.
I spend so much time before any broadcast preparing for first career catches and first career touchdowns.
You could say, if this came 2 weeks later, that would have been his first NFL touchdown.
I think I'll say the first time he's ever been in an NFL. Like, here's the point. I don't want to treat it like just a ho-hum preseason. My guess is people will be very happy. The screen will show people very excited for Luke Ferrell. I would have, maybe he's new, so I don't know if his teammates know this. He's a really good player in other aspects, right? Maybe they all assume he's got a touchdown. But he doesn't have a touchdown. Doesn't have a preseason touchdown.
My guess
it's a lot of football.
My guess is George Kittle will make everybody aware that would be the case. Would it be like, do you think that they would do, like, was it Cam Little, the 70-yard field goal? Do you think that they would box up the football and the cleats and send it to Canton?
I don't think this one's going to Canton, but I do think it might be on if there's a tight end U Hall of Fame. This would go in the tight end U Hall of Fame.
It would definitely go to Luke Ferrell's man cave. I think that would.
Yeah. I'm mentally preparing for how much excitement to have in that moment.
I'm ready on record on this video. Guy is saying that Luke Ferrell is basically the 49ers' 6th offensive lineman and will be their 6th offensive lineman for a lot of passing down plays this season.
So he's going to get one, you think?
No.
It's like throwing it to Trent.
I don't think he will, because I think
you don't think he's going to get one at all?
I think he'll just stay in the block.
What a great trick play, though.
I guess so. Maybe at some point. He probably,
What Week 8.
Defenses, if he went out for a pass pattern, defenses would probably be saying, hey, he didn't report in as eligible. And the officials will go, what are you talking about? He's wearing number
He's 89.
89. He doesn't have to report as eligible.
Yeah.
Oh, we thought
You know
he
what?
was an offensive lineman.
I take it back. They're definitely not throwing him the ball in the red zone this week because they're saving that.
Oh, yeah.
For now that I think about it, why would you do that now?
Well,
it'd be like throwing a touchdown pass to your left tackle in the preseason. No, you save that for week 17. Save that for Thanksgiving.
I think you do it now just so the defense devotes somebody in coverage to him during the regular season, and that opens things up for Kittle or anybody else.
See, now, if you're not locked in during the third quarter this Saturday night, this moment, you're doing it wrong.
I think, you know what? I think it's time to end this video. What do you think?
I think we've reached the end. Yes.
Hey, Guy, thanks so much. Keep up the great work, and I'll see you at practices this week.
All right, Matt.